Hello, I'm Tillian and this is Room 23. Room 23 is a psychological horror game set in the Broken Bottle Hotel, where you as the player have just gotten a job, and because you were dead broke, you now live in the hotel. Your job is to clean the rooms, deliver the food, and do all the odd jobs that the manager asks of you. But the longer you work there, the more strange things start to happen, with many questions flooding your mind, but they all fall in comparison to the ultimate question: what's in Room 23? So now that you have a bit of lore, let's get into today's video. That being the visual design of the game. And no, your monitor is not broken, the entire game is grayscale. When I first started the project, I looked into different art styles, but knowing I'd be sticking with a realistic 3D look, I wanted to warp the art style in a simple but effective way to give the game a striking and slightly unsettling style. This led me to trying out different post-processing effects which change how the final image looks. So, using a pack of effects I bought, I had tried out a pixelated style, a cartoon cel shading style, a hand-painted style, and some really weird styles. I wasn't happy with any of them, as whilst they changed how the game looked, they also compromised readability and made it hard to look at sometimes. That was until I pressed Alt+5. You see, the game engine I use, Unreal 4, has several view modes to show different things like wireframes and lighting, and one of these is detail lighting, which removes colour from textures but keeps normal map information. A quick explanation of normal maps is basically, it's a magic kind of texture which gives you this complex detail for cheap, as it's not actually there, it's just creating fake shadows to trick you into thinking it's there. The grayscale combined with the detail in the texture created a visually interesting look, so I chose to use this style. The only problem now was to actually make this work. The problem is I could not just use the built-in effect, as I did not have control over it and it actually created some lag in the game, so I had to find a different method. Whilst the easiest way to achieve this effect would be to use a post-processing material to make the game black and white, like this. The problem is that when I do this, I am now completely locked out of using colour in the game. So say I add an ominous red light here, and then turn the black and white effect back on, the red light has just turned grey, so this method would not work. So instead of making everything black and white in the post-processing, I would have to make all the models black and white to begin with. So the way I achieved this was to first open up the materials, which are what Unreal 4 used to store all the texture information for an object. Find the input for base colour and subsurface colour and disconnect these. Then either use a texture or a colour node and choose what shade of grey you want and plug it into the base colour. And there we have it, the entire game is now in black and white and I can still use colour. With the art style established, I now needed to figure out what kind of game I wanted to make. With this project I wanted a deeper focus on horror, but the idea of having the player walk down a pitch black hallway with a dim flashlight whilst the scary monster chases them still bores the hell out of me as a concept. So instead I have put a greater emphasis on the psychological horror part of the game, slowly driving the player mad with an ever changing and ever distorting world. But before I scare the player, I need to give them something to do. So I began figuring out the core gameplay loop of the game. The core gameplay loop is basically the thing the player will be doing for the majority of the game, so it needed to be something simple but fun. And after some more research into figuring out what working in a hotel is like and what kind of jobs exist, I decided that since it's a small hotel, the player would be hired as a pack mule and all-around problem fixer. Someone who would clean the rooms, deliver food, fix any problems, and just all around do everything that the manager told you to do. And with that established and a core gameplay loop formed, I now needed to focus on actually building the game. The reason I started this project is that my first game, Church of Stratum, has hit a bit of a wall now. The prologue has been released, but turning that into a full game will take a lot of time and money which I don't have. So to help fix that, I plan for this game to be a much tighter and focused experience, using the knowledge I have gained to develop it at a much faster rate. One of the key things I learned from my last game is that creating 3D assets takes a lot of time, and that whilst creating everything basically from scratch did improve my skills, it took far too long, with many months being eaten up by the 700 plus unique models I created for the game. So, for this project I would make far greater use of pre-made assets from the Unreal Marketplace, and thanks to many assets being given away for free each month, and my slow collection and purchase of assets, I now had the vast majority of the 3D models already made for me, freeing up a lot of time to work on other parts of the game, mainly the cleaning mechanics. The big influence for this part of the game was Viscera Clean Up Detail, which gave the cleaning a cathartic feel I wanted to replicate. And whilst using physics to move around trash like in that game would have been nice, I learned from my last game that far too much work has to go into making something like that actually work. I opted instead for the easier method of just having the trash disappear when you click on it. The stains, however, use a more interesting system using dynamic materials and triggers that every time you spray stains they disappear slightly, so you need to spray them multiple times for them to disappear. Putting both of these together creates a fun system that allows you to do this. So after a few weeks of work, the framework for the game has been laid out and a working version was created. Many more mechanics have been created on top of these, and I will talk about them in a later video. But that's all for now. I hope you enjoyed, and next time I will be showing off some of the horror elements I have been working on. So from the Broken Bottle Hotel, we hope you enjoyed your stay and we look forward to seeing you again.